Some tractors are built tough, but a few were built so tough they could practically run forever. These were the machines that never quit, the workhorses that pulled, plowed, and planted for decades without complaint. Farmers trusted them like family, and many of them are still running today. But here's the twist: despite their legendary reliability, every single one of them was discontinued. From the indestructible John Deere 4020 to the simple Ford 8N and the mighty Lanz Bulldog, today we're counting down 10 tractors that could run forever but didn't survive the march of progress. Trust me, you'll want to see which of these icons made the list and why they vanished. Number 1. John Deere 4020. Few tractors in history have the kind of reputation that the John Deere 4020 enjoys. Launched in 1963, this model quickly became the backbone of mid-sized American farms, and to this day many owners will tell you it was the best tractor Deere ever built. The 4020 came with options for gasoline, LP gas, or the now famous 6-cylinder diesel engine, which became the favorite thanks to its unmatched longevity and fuel economy. This engine wasn't flashy, but it was nearly unkillable. Farmers put thousands of hours on their 4020s, sometimes running them well past 10,000 hours before major overhauls. The tractor's hydraulic system, known as the new generation design, was also ahead of its time, reliable, easy to repair, and strong enough to power a wide variety of implements. Beyond its durability, the 4020 struck a perfect balance between size and usability. It was large enough to pull heavy plows and planters, yet nimble enough to handle chores around the farm. The operator station was comfortable for the era, visibility was good, and the controls were straightforward. Its popularity was so great that Deere built over 180,000 units, making it one of the best-selling tractors in its class. So why did Deere discontinue it? Simply put, progress marched on. Newer tractors with higher horsepower, better comfort features, and eventually stricter emission standards replaced the 4020. But many farmers never forgot it. Even today, restored 4020s sell quickly at auctions, and countless units are still in daily use. The reason is simple: they were built to last. With parts still widely available and communities of loyal owners who know how to fix them, the John Deere 4020 became more than a machine. It became a legend of durability that proves some tractors really can run forever. Number 2. Ford 8N. If there was ever a tractor that brought mechanized farming to the masses, it was the Ford 8N. Introduced in 1947 as the successor to the popular 9N and 2N, the 8N quickly became America's best-selling tractor. What made it special wasn't just its affordability, but its sheer simplicity. The 8N used a small gasoline 4-cylinder engine that was easy to start, easy to service, and tolerant of less than perfect fuel and oil conditions. With around 30 horsepower, it wasn't the most powerful machine, but it didn't need to be. Its strength was its reliability and the fact that it could handle almost any job on a small farm, from plowing to mowing to hauling. The real genius of the 8N lay in its ease of ownership. Ford designed it for farmers who weren't mechanics by trade. With minimal training, anyone could change the oil, adjust the carburetor, or replace a worn clutch. And because Ford produced hundreds of thousands of them, parts were cheap and widely available. Even decades after production ended in 1952, aftermarket suppliers still manufacture parts to this day, keeping the 8N alive. The tractor's hydraulic 3-point hitch system revolutionized farming, allowing implements to be easily attached and lifted with a lever instead of relying on heavy, awkward hitching methods. Farmers loved how versatile the 8N was, and many of these machines remained in service for 40 or 50 years. So why discontinue such a beloved tractor? Ford simply moved on to newer models with more horsepower and modern features. But the 8N never really left. It remains one of the most common classic tractors on the used market, often selling for affordable prices and still used by hobby farmers and small landowners. The Ford 8N may have been discontinued, but its legacy and its ability to just keep running makes it one of the most enduring tractors of all time. Number 3. Massey Ferguson 135. The Massey Ferguson 135 is often described as one of the best small farm tractors ever built, and it's not hard to see why. Introduced in the mid-1960s, the MF135 quickly became a global hit thanks to its rugged design, user-friendly controls, and reputation for being nearly impossible to wear out. It was available with either a Perkins diesel or Continental gasoline engine, and the Perkins diesel version in particular became legendary for its durability. Farmers reported these engines running for decades with minimal maintenance, often racking up 8,000 to 12,000 hours before requiring serious work. What set the MF-135 apart was its versatility. It was small enough to work on vineyards, orchards, and small farms, but powerful enough to handle heavy chores like plowing or hay baling. The hydraulics were dependable, the transmission options gave operators flexibility, and the tractor was light enough to be easy on the soil. It became a true Swiss Army knife tractor, equally at home on farms in the United States, Europe, Africa, and Asia. Another factor in its longevity was the sheer simplicity of its design. The engine and drivetrain were straightforward, meaning even farmers with limited mechanical skills could keep them running. And like other successful tractors, Massey Ferguson produced them in huge numbers, ensuring that spare parts and service knowledge would remain widely available long after production stopped. The MF-135 was eventually discontinued in the late 1970s, as Massey updated its lineup with newer models featuring more comfort and emissions improvements. But discontinuation did not mean disappearance. To this day, the MF-135 is one of the most sought-after classic tractors on the used market. For many small farmers and hobbyists, it remains the perfect combination of size, simplicity, and strength. Its reputation for being able to run forever is well-deserved, and it stands as one of the most reliable tractors ever built. Number 4. International Harvester Farm. All 8. Among the most beloved tractors in North American farming history, the Farmall H by International Harvester occupies a special place. Produced from 1939 to 1953, the Farmall H became one of the most widely used tractors of the mid-20th century. Its 4-cylinder gasoline engine produced around 26 horsepower, which may sound modest today, but was plenty for its intended market: family farms that needed an all-around machine for plowing, cultivating, and belt work. What made the Farmall H so enduring was its simplicity and ruggedness. The engine was basic, with few parts to break, and the transmission was built to take abuse. Farmers could, and often did, repair them in the field with nothing more than a wrench and some ingenuity. Many H's ran for decades without major overhauls, and when something did fail, parts were cheap and widely available thanks to the huge production numbers. In fact, over 390,000 Farmall H tractors were built, ensuring a massive base of machines and parts. The H also became a teaching tool for generations. Young farmers learned how to drive and maintain tractors on an H, and many of them never forgot it. Stories abound of Farmall H's starting on cold mornings when other tractors failed, or of machines working well into the 1970s despite being decades old. Why did it end? By the 1950s, farmers were demanding more horsepower, more comfort, and more features, and IH moved on to new models like the Super H and beyond. But the H's legacy didn't fade. Even today, Farmall H's are staples of antique tractor shows, still pulling plows or powering threshers just as they did in their prime. Its reputation as a tractor that could seemingly run forever makes it one of the true icons of agricultural machinery. Number 5. Allis-Chalmers D17. The Allis-Chalmers D17, produced between 1957 and 1967, was one of the most dependable and beloved tractors in the Allis lineup. At a time when farms were growing in size but still needed versatile equipment, the D17 filled a perfect niche. It came in multiple versions: gasoline, diesel, LP gas, with horsepower ranging from about 52 to 63, depending on configuration. This put it in the sweet spot for medium-sized farms, where it could handle plowing and planting, but also serve as a reliable general-purpose tractor. The secret to the D17's longevity was its straightforward engineering. Its 6-cylinder engines were known for durability and forgiving operation, while its hydraulic system was among the most dependable of its day. Farmers quickly came to trust it as a machine that would start in the morning and keep running until the job was done, day after day. Many owners put thousands of hours on their D17s without major failures. Even decades after production ended, these tractors remained in the field, often passing from one generation to the next. Another key to its reputation was serviceability. The D17 was built to be maintained in the field, with components accessible for repair and a layout that encouraged farmers to do their own work. This self-sufficiency was vital in an era when dealer support might not always be close at hand. Despite its reliability, Allis-Chalmers eventually discontinued the D17 as the industry shifted toward more horsepower, modern comfort features, and later, stricter emission standards. The D19 and other models replaced it, but the D17's reputation for longevity far outlived its production run. Today, many D17s are still working small farms or appearing at tractor shows, admired for their no-nonsense design and unbreakable spirit. For many, it remains the ultimate example of a mid-century tractor that could run forever. Number 6. Lanz Bulldog. The Lanz Bulldog, first introduced in Germany in 1921, may be one of the simplest tractors ever made. And that's exactly why so many are still running a century later. At the heart of the Bulldog was a single-cylinder hot bulb engine, sometimes called a semi-diesel, with just one giant piston displacing anywhere from 6 to 10 liters depending on the model. These engines were slow-turning, incredibly tolerant of poor fuel, and had very few moving parts to fail. In fact, many Bulldogs could run on crude oil, kerosene, or even waste fuels, making them popular in rural areas where diesel or gasoline was expensive or scarce. The Bulldog's simplicity was its genius. With no complicated electrical system and very few components, there was almost nothing to break. Farmers could maintain them with basic tools, and when problems did arise, repairs were straightforward. This ruggedness earned them legendary status, not only in Germany but across Europe, Australia, and South America, where they were exported widely. Their discontinuation wasn't because they stopped working, it was because technology moved on. By the 1950s, multi-cylinder diesel engines became more efficient, smoother, and more powerful, and John Deere's takeover of Lanz eventually ended Bulldog production. But by then, hundreds of thousands had been built, and many are still running today. Collectors adore the Lanz Bulldog, not just for its mechanical toughness, but also for its character. The starting process, heating the hot bulb with a blowtorch before cranking the flywheel, became iconic. The thump-thump of its single giant piston is instantly recognizable. For durability, simplicity, and sheer personality, the Lanz Bulldog is perhaps the ultimate example of a tractor that could run forever, and often still does. Number 7. Ferguson TE20. The Ferguson TE20, launched in 1946, may not have had the horsepower of larger machines, but it had something far more valuable: near unbreakable durability. Affectionately nicknamed the Little Grey Fergie, this tractor became one of the most widely used machines in post-war Europe, Australia, and beyond. Powered by a modest 4-cylinder petrol or diesel engine, the TE20 wasn't built for brute strength, it was built for reliability and ease of use. One of the TE20's greatest contributions to agriculture was the 3-point hitch system, which revolutionized the way implements were attached and used. But beyond its innovations, farmers loved the TE20 because it simply worked. Its engine was tough, fuel-efficient, and easy to service, and the tractor's lightweight design meant it was gentle on the soil. Owners quickly discovered that with even basic maintenance, a TE20 could run almost indefinitely. Production of the TE20 lasted into the mid-1950s, before being replaced by newer Massey Ferguson models. But by then, hundreds of thousands had been built. Many TE20s were sold to developing countries under aid programs, where they earned reputations as tractors that could survive harsh conditions with minimal care. Even today, thousands of TE20s remain in use around the world. Hobby farmers, collectors, and small landowners continue to prize them for their reliability. Their discontinuation wasn't due to flaws, but to the march of progress. More horsepower and comfort were demanded by larger farms. But the TE20 remains iconic, not only for its engineering but also for its role in mechanizing agriculture on a massive scale. For sheer longevity and global impact, the Little Grey Fergie stands among the greatest forever tractors ever built. Number 8. Porsche-Diesel tractors. When people hear Porsche, they think of sports cars. But in the 1950s and early 1960s, Porsche also built tractors. The Porsche-Diesel series may not have had the glamour of a 911, but they embodied the same philosophy: precision engineering, quality construction, and long life. Produced in Germany, these tractors came with air-cooled diesel engines, a unique feature that eliminated radiators and reduced one of the most common failure points in farm tractors. The engines, available in single, twin, and four-cylinder versions, were designed for durability and efficiency. Farmers quickly learned that these tractors, though relatively modest in horsepower, could be counted on to start reliably and run for years with minimal issues. Their air-cooled design also made them popular in warmer climates, where overheating plagued many liquid-cooled competitors. Discontinuation came not because the tractors weren't durable, but because Porsche shifted its focus entirely to automobiles. By the early 1960s, the company left the agricultural market, and Porsche-Diesel tractors faded into history. Yet their legacy lives on. Collectors today adore them, not just because of the Porsche name, but because many are still running, proof of their engineering excellence. Farmers who own them often report that they're among the easiest tractors to maintain, with fewer moving parts than competitors, and excellent build quality. While they never achieved the mass-market presence of a John Deere or Ford, Porsche-Diesel tractors carved out a reputation as machines that could run forever. They remain a testament to what happens when precision engineering meets practical farming needs. Number 9. David Brown 885. The David Brown 885 may not have been the flashiest tractor of its time, but it earned a reputation for ruggedness and dependability that has kept many of them working decades after their production stopped. Introduced in the 1960s, the 885 featured a three-cylinder diesel engine that produced around 47 horsepower, not a massive number but more than enough for small and mid-sized farms. What really made the 885 stand out was its durability. The engine was famously fuel-efficient and long-lived, capable of running thousands of hours with only routine maintenance. The transmission and hydraulics were equally robust, designed to withstand the wear and tear of constant use. Farmers appreciated the straightforward design, which made servicing easy. Unlike some competitors that required specialized tools, the 885 could often be repaired in the field with nothing more than a basic toolkit. Although David Brown tractors were eventually absorbed into the Case brand, and the 885 was phased out in favor of newer models, its legacy remains strong. Owners often describe it as one of the most reliable tractors they've ever had, a machine that starts on cold mornings, runs economically, and rarely breaks down. Many 885s are still used today on small farms, proving that this British-built workhorse was made to last. The 885's discontinuation was a matter of corporate consolidation and market changes, not a reflection of the machine's quality. In fact, its reputation has only grown since then. Among collectors and hobbyists, the David Brown 885 is valued as a practical classic, not just for display, but for real work. Its simplicity, efficiency, and endurance earn it a place on the list of tractors that truly could run forever. Number 10. Oliver 77. The Oliver 77, produced from the late 1940s into the 1950s, is remembered as one of the most durable mid-century tractors. With a six-cylinder gasoline or diesel engine producing around 40 to 50 horsepower, it wasn't the biggest machine of its day, but it was one of the most reliable. Farmers trusted the 77 because it was built with heavy castings, strong gears, and engines that could tolerate years of hard work with minimal fuss. One of the things that set the Oliver 77 apart was its smooth operation. Its six-cylinder engine provided steady power, and its transmission was considered strong and dependable. Farmers often remarked that the 77 was the kind of tractor you could run all day without worry. It was equally good for field work, hauling, or powering stationary equipment with its belt pulley. Despite its strengths, Oliver eventually discontinued the 77 as larger, more powerful tractors became the norm. Corporate changes and evolving farm practices meant the 77 was replaced by newer models, but discontinuation didn't stop the 77s from working. Many stayed in use for decades, often passed down from one generation to the next. Even today, restored 77s are common at shows and auctions, often still running on their original engines. The Oliver 77's reputation for longevity is no accident. It was engineered conservatively, built with high-quality materials, and designed to be serviceable by farmers themselves. That combination meant many of them kept working long after their production ended. For farmers of the 1950s, it was a dependable partner. For collectors today, it's a reminder of an era when tractors were built to last a lifetime or longer. So there you have it, 10 tractors that could run forever, but got discontinued. Machines like the Massey Ferguson 135, the Farmall H, and the Ferguson TE20 prove that great engineering and simplicity can outlast entire generations. Yet despite their durability, changing technology, new regulations, and corporate decisions pushed them into retirement. Which one of these legendary machines do you think deserved a second chance? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories if you or your family ever owned one of these tractors. Don't forget to hit like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more deep dives into the history of farming's greatest machines, and ring the bell so you never miss another countdown. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep those engines running.